es mi Dios, mi escudo y defensor, Salvador que libra hoy, es mi Dios, es mi Dios. El Señor me premia por mi conducta y mi valor, es mi Dios, es mi Dios. Te alabaré, Señor, te alabaré, Señor. El Señor es mi bastión, mi baluarte y salvación, es mi Dios, es mi Dios, mi escudo y defensor, Salvador que libra hoy, es mi Dios, es mi Dios. El Señor me premia por mi conducta y mi valor, es mi Dios, es mi Dios. Te alabaré, Señor, te alabaré, Señor. El Señor es mi bastión, mi baluarte y salvación, es mi Dios, es mi Dios, mi escudo y defensor.
Well, everybody, and welcome to the Trig podcast of Joy and GOZO TV, where we are Going GOZO what? The weather's got you down. The brakes in your car, they don't work anymore. You're looking at your wallet, at your waistline, bro, wondering, man, what's going on? Don't worry. Let's spend the next few minutes talking about grace, talking about joy, talking about God, talking about GOZO. Today, here I've got my GOZO cup. We're going to be talking today about my GOZOduendes here on GOZOlandia, viviendo la vida GOZO. Talking today about it's time for you to make life great again. It's time for you to make things great again. Welcome, my dear friend. Tell me, where are you watching me from? Are you on Facebook Live? Do you have your GOZO gorro? Don't forget your GOZO gorro. Do you have your GOZO pulsera? Your GOZO mug? Do you have your GOZO mug? Don't forget, my dear GOZOduende, here in GOZOlandia, viviendo la vida GOZO, to dance to the salsa. Oh, excuse me, my GOZO sneeze. I'm telling you. GOZOlandia and GOZO dust is in the air and on the air. Tell me where you're watching me from. Are you watching me here on Facebook Live? Are you here on Periscope? We have also a lot of people watching on Periscope. We have about 50 people. Welcome to Periscope. Welcome to Twitter. Welcome Facebooklandia. Welcome YouTubelandia. Whoever you may be and wherever you may be. Welcome to David Trig Show. Monday through Friday. Always talking about the themes that interest you the most. Always talking about the joke of the day. About be de burro. Man, have you had any be de burro experiences lately, guys? Have you noticed how many be de burros there are in this world? My goodness. There are so many be de burros. You're like, what is that? Be de burros are those moments when you notice someone in the street, when you watch someone at school or at work, and you're like, que burros. So here is my be de burro joke of the day here on this GOZOduende Tuesday of Thanksgiving. Be de burro. People who come and fix their homes at 7 a.m. and drop off dirt and drop off all of their materials at 7 a.m. in the morning. Be de burro. Don't you know that the rest of us are sleeping? Don't you know that this is a holiday? The other day, I'm here in my house trying to read my Bible and have a quiet time with my wife. And suddenly, all these trucks come down the street. You know what I'm talking about? Waking me up, making a bunch of noise, dropping off dirt and blocks. And my neighbor apparently is doing a second story to his house. Hey, I'm all for you making your house better, but not at 6:30 a.m. Instead, wait till 8:30. How about 9 a.m. when I'm awake, I've had my coffee, I'm feeling better, and then drop off the stuff. Make all the noise you want. I'm out of here anyway. I don't care. Next time, how about instead, if you give me a little call, or maybe you even drop some donuts and coffee as a gift for being a nuisance and making me mad. Don't be a be de burro. Instead, calm down, wait till a couple days, and then we'll all get along, and I'll come over to your housewarming party and not be a nuisance anymore. Stop making noise on my street. Realize that everyone's asleep. Don't be a be de burro. Esta gente. What is wrong with people making so much noise? I'm telling you, GOZO Nation, sometimes I don't get what's happening even in my own life. But moving now to this awesome segment that I like to call Noticias. In other words, these are the news of the day. Noticias. Today is Tuesday, November 22nd, 2016. Here are the top stories of this day. Fox News says Trump will not pursue charges against Clinton. Have you noticed that Trump is just basically ignoring all his quote promises? I'm telling you, he is a smart man. He's not as dumb as we think he is. Number 2, top stories on this day. Noticias, November 22nd. From CBS News, how to navigate the politics of Thanksgiving. My goodness, anybody got some politics coming your way this week? Number one, here's the number one tip on how to navigate those politics. You know, people that come over, talk about Trump, talk about Clinton, or they talk about immigration, blah, blah, blah. Number one, set some ground rules. That's a good one. Number two, limit the time with difficult people. That tío or that crazy primo that you have, right? Just chill out, bro. Number three, listen well. I think we can all need a little help with that one, right? Number four, it says here to no name calling. Make a commitment to not call people names. Number five, take it outside. Don't bother the whole party with your politics and your religion. Number six, diffuse anger. Number seven, stay home. That's a good one, right? Just don't go anywhere. That's my favorite. Number eight, limit alcohol. Yeah, we all know what that does to politics and religion. And then lastly, number nine, be aware of the little ones. Man, those are good tips, right? I love those. So noticias, last one here on this beautiful day. Noticias. Here's speaking of Trump. Donald Trump's first 100 days have been broken down in a YouTube video. Have you seen the video? Just, I think, this morning, maybe last night. President-elect Trump put out a video on YouTube. That's kind of an awesome way to communicate, right? Obviously, Obama did a lot of social media. But I think that it's good that the president is using social media, YouTube, and the more mainstream, I guess, or maybe they're not mainstream means and media to communicate with the people. So check out his video and tell me what you think. By the way, one last one here. If you are someone close to retirement or you're worried about investments, the Dow, my goodness, talk about Trump, the Trump effect. It tops 19,000 for the first time in history. 19,000 points. So I'm telling you, that Trump effect is in full force. Let's talk about now the weather. How is the weather today, my dear friends? Are you in a place that it's snowing? Are you wet? Are you feeling nice and warm? How are you doing? Let's see. Today, here in the Los Angeles area, talking about this beautiful, beautiful weather. In LA, today the weather is right now 61 degrees with a high of 67 and a low of 54. And the rest of this beautiful Thanksgiving week is going to be glorious here in Southern California. Tomorrow is going to be 70. On Thanksgiving Day, Turkey Day is going to be 75 and sunny. And over the weekend, the best time of my life, and Sunday especially, is going to be a nice cold 62 degrees. So again, always thankful for the awesome weather that all of us get to enjoy. How are you doing, my dear friend? Tell me again, wherever you may be, how are you feeling? Are you on Facebook Live? Are you on Periscope Live? How are you doing? Today, talking about, as I said, the theme that I think is very, very important and a must is it's time for you to step up and do something great. Here's what I mean, okay? So here's a little bit of kind of my thoughts on this very important topic that I think has to be talked about. So over the last, maybe, 6 months to a year, I've been thinking a lot about this whole idea of what Trump has been talking about of making America great. And I think that for some people, myself included, you have some racist undertones that could sneak in there. You know, that we want to go back to a time of whites here and everyone else there. And even though I don't think that's what he means, it definitely can go there. Now, regardless of politics, and regardless of who you voted for, I didn't vote for Trump, but I'm telling you, it was a tough decision on who to vote for. I wish I had voted for my abuelita. But here's my point. Regardless of your politics, you know what really matters? Is, are you doing something great with your life? Are you doing something great with the gifts and the time that God has given you? I find that we are in an era where more than ever, leadership is needed. Men and women that are creatives, that are people of faith and of love need to rise. And I want to challenge you. If you have been waiting on the sidelines, if you have been putting your trust on your job or in your career or in your nonprofit, it is time for you to take it up a notch and step up and do something great with your life. So a few hours ago, I was listening to an interview with someone who isn't necessarily my ideal role model, but he had some good points. And that was, drumroll, it was Kanye West. Yay, 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 Kanye. I must say, ever since, when he started his career, 10, 15 years ago, and I forget the name of the first couple of records, I was a huge fan. Then he went through that really weird time, and I just kind of fell off the wagon. And then the last year or two, Taylor Swift, Kim Kardashian, blah, blah, blah. It seems like he continues to just do the same old antics. But in this interview that I watched, it was from June of this year, a couple months ago, he was talking about being a creative and about being a Renaissance man, and it really, really resonated with me. It's time for you to be a Renaissance woman once again. You know, in the Bible, we see men and women of God who were kind of the even-keeled people, right? They were the Johns, they were maybe the Marys, maybe they were the disciples who fell asleep while Jesus was praying. But God has always used Renaissance people to bring about his kingdom. Have you noticed that? He's always used the Jonahs, who at first fought with God, disobeyed him, clearly going in the opposite direction of God's will. And he literally had to be swallowed by a big fish. But finally, in the end, this Renaissance man named Jonah brought restoration and peace, it says there, to 120,000 people. Basically the modern world and modern day Iraq, if you can believe that, because of his Renaissance instincts and spirit. Number 2, Noah, another Renaissance man. Talk about a crazy man. Now, before I keep going, what's a Renaissance man? Renaissance equals nobody gets you. People think you are nuts. I can relate to that. How many of you can relate to that? I'm telling you. Back to Noah, a man who everyone thought, man, what are you doing building an ark in the middle of the desert? Don't you know that it hasn't rained in 25 years and you're building an ark? And not only was it an ark, or maybe like a boat that could fit maybe 4 or 5 people, he was building an ark that would fit the whole world in it. Talk about a man with a adventurous spirit, a crazy man. And if you've seen the movie, right? I mean, remember, what's his name? I forget, the guy from The Office. He was up there in this ark. At first, like, what's all this hair? And then all these animals. Remember the whole thing? What a crazy man. All his family members. But then when the rains came and the storms rose and everyone was dying and yelling, hoping to get in, what did Noah say? Sorry, I gotta go. I'm gonna be safe. And in 40 days, he was in a new place, came out, and a rainbow appeared, reminding him of the faithfulness of God. Man, Renaissance man. Number 3, John the Baptist. Talk about another crazy man. John the Baptist, what did he say? Prepare the way of the Lord. Here comes the Lord. Everybody wake up. Here comes the one who I am unworthy to even untie his sandals. Here he comes. And because everyone likes to see people blow up, everyone would go to the desert where John was eating locust, honey. Talk about the first eco-friendly diet plan. There he was. And people went out to see him. And they wanted to say, maybe you're the Messiah. You're going to free us from this Roman Empire. And what did John the Baptist say? What do Renaissance people do? They're like, nope, it's not me. I'm just a voice crying in the desert. Prepare the way of the Lord. And John pointed to the true Christ, towards the Messiah, that he said, he is the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. Repent. Renaissance man. And there are many women, Esther, Noemi, Sarah, Rachel, Rahab. There are so many men and women in the Bible who were Renaissance men and women who God used greatly. Here's my question. Have you stopped being the Renaissance woman that God has called you to be? Have you stopped believing in that spirit that God's given you because of comfort, because of age, or because it's too hard? Oh my goodness. What did you think? It was going to be easy to be a Renaissance person? It's tough. Let me tell you a story. About 3 years ago, I was volunteering at our kids' school here in the area in Long Beach. Patrick Henry, woo, love that school. By the way, let me know where you're watching me from here on Facebook Live. Hello, my dear Soccer Ophi. Always a pleasure. Brittany, love to have you here. Let's see who else. Kermit and everyone else. Jay and Shirley, welcome, guys. Nice to have you. Let me go back to Periscope. All of my followers here, 62 views and 62 live viewers. Thank you for being here, guys, whether you're on YouTube, on Periscope, or maybe you are watching me live on Twitter, wherever you may be. Soon we're going to be on Instagram Live. Can you believe that? Crazy, huh? Welcome to the show. So here's where I was going. My story. So about 2-3 years ago, I was volunteering, Patrick Henry, and I was on stage being the MC to this program. I think it was either a Thanksgiving program or something or the other. Maybe it was a Halloween thing. And there was this guy who I remember kind of watching critically. Hello, my friend Bobby. Welcome to the show. Nice to have you. He was kind of, from a distance, sort of like this. And I had known him through the years. Kids growing up together, you kind of get to meet parents. Long story short, the next week we were in the cafeteria at some meeting, and he comes up to me and he's like, and he said it like in a condescending way, "Are you a Renaissance man or something?" He said it just like that. "Are you a Renaissance man or something?" And remember, this guy is someone I had known, but he was definitely more clean cut. He had always his nice shirt on and his nice button up, his nice coat and his Dockers, his cold shoes. He was that guy, right? Nothing against that, but different than who I am. And that's okay. Here's what happened. So he tells me that, and in that moment, I was offended. I thought, man, did he just put me down? And he was trying to put me down. But then I ran home. I ran home kind of like Trump with ISIS. Have you seen that video SNL thing? It's so hilarious. I went home and I'm like, what is a Renaissance man? I typed it up, and guess what a Renaissance man is? A Renaissance man is someone who is a risk taker and an adventure seeker and who is trying to change the status quo. And I thought, that is me. I didn't even know that this man was paying me a compliment. And instead of me feeling all offended, I should have thanked him for actually calling me what I am, a Renaissance man. Here's my point. Are you feeling offended because people in your life are calling you loco, calling you not normal, doubting or questioning the choices that you're making to go and spend time volunteering at a school or going to church or changing jobs when you should be more, now in your 40s and 50s, maybe you should be looking to settle down? Is that like the worst nightmare for you and I as Renaissance people and as adventure seekers, to settle down? But that's kind of where things have been for the last 20, 30 years. But now is the time, my dear GOZO friend, my dear GOZOduende, here viviendo la vida GOZO, for you to once again be that Renaissance man and woman that God has called you to be. Now, why do I say that? Back to Kanye. Because as he was saying, and again, Kanye is all over the place, but one thing he said is that when he works with other people, the fact that he knows who he is as a Renaissance man, he himself used that term, he only surrounds himself with other creative people, not with critics. Creatives, not critics. Oh man, that really just hit me between the eyes. How many times In your effort to be a people pleaser, do you invite the critic into your house and you give them the keys to your car and you make a bet for them and you let them rule your life because you're afraid of the critic? And yet, how many times in your heart you know that you need to kick that critic out of your mind, you need to get rid of that person and invite the creatives into your heart? And now here's the thing, before you think that, well, we need to listen to everybody, here it is. Even Kanye, in his craziness, he said the creatives are actually more critical than the critics, but they make him better. They make his music better. He collaborates with them. He writes music with them. But that energy or that vibe that they bring is one of positivity, of gozo, of joy, of creative energy, and of God creative energy. And that's why he surrounds himself with creatives, not with critics. Isn't that awesome? How many times have you allowed the critic to be the loudest voice in your brain? That's right, my brother Bobby. Church, rise up, be Renaissance people. No retiring here, just refiring for Jesus. Got to go. My brother, be blessed as well. But that is exactly right. When we allow the critic to be at the forefront of the vision, you will fail. When you allow the critic to be the loudest voice in your church or in your home or in your business, you will surely fail. But when you have the guts to be the Renaissance woman of God and surround yourself with creatives and people that actually make you better, that are people that are flowing in the Spirit and have the spirit of Jonah, that have the spirit of Noah and of Jesus himself, then you will truly see your life great again. And all the dreams that you once had for your family, for your teen, for your nonprofit will become better, not in the flesh, not by might or by power, but by the Spirit of God. Because remember, God is the ultimate creator. God is the ultimate Renaissance man. He is a spirit of controlled chaos. Remember in Genesis 1, when God created earth and created man and created the heavens and the earth, it says that the Spirit of God hovered above the earth and above the waters, and everything was chaos. Oh man, my music is gone, but I got music in my soul tonight, this morning. The creativity, the creative spirit in you must rise amidst the chaos. That is when creative God and creative energy, the Spirit of God in you must rise, is when there is instability and chaos and unformed life all around you. Do you feel like your kids are a mess? You feel like the politics of this country are going down the wrong track? Do you feel maybe that you're once again putting your hope in a president or in the Dow that it's up 19,000 points? Make sure that you repent of that and instead rise during this time. Be the Renaissance man or woman that God has created you to be. And even in the middle of instability, know that is exactly when God wants to use you. Now, here's a question. How then do we rise? How do we make our lives great again? I have a couple of tips for you. Number one, surround yourself with other creatives. You know, one of the things, going back to Kanye in this interview, that really challenged me is that he kept talking about collaboration. I think that too often for me and maybe for you, because of whatever, we think that we're the only ones that think the way we think. Because most people don't quite get your craziness. They don't support the way you live your life. We begin to become recluse. We then hide in our nonprofits or in our churches or in our places of leadership. And instead of becoming connected, we become disconnected. And what happens is that our Renaissance spirit has a glass ceiling to it. It doesn't fully find its destiny, because the destiny of the Renaissance is meant to be expressed and fully express among other people. Ooh, now I'm preaching. My point is that for you to truly be a woman of Renaissance, a woman of adventure, you have to connect. Let this be the place of connection. I hope that you come here every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. to connect with this Renaissance man. So that just like Kanye was giving me that feeling once again, even in the middle of this and that and the other, that I hope that I can be that person to you, whether I'm on this show, whether I'm at church, whether you see me on the street or wherever. You and I, as virtual friends and as real friends in real life, we need to come together. Second, you need to cut off the critic and stop inviting them into your home. I think that is a big lesson for me. Let's see, Laura, hello, keep on encouraging. We should strive to please God, not man. That's right. Blessed today. Thank you. Of course. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Ophi. So you have to cut off the critic. There are people in your life that in 2017 you need to kindly say no to. You know, let me tell you a story. I am and have been, and less, but I've always been a people pleaser. Something, probably my insecurity or who knows, tells me, oh, I need to make sure that everyone likes me. Crazy, right? Like, seriously, dude. Okay, so anyway, I remember it's been a while now, maybe almost 10 years ago. I was on my way out. And I had this celebration of joy and people just love and affirmation. But I remember this one lady came into my office to basically tell me how much she just couldn't stand me. And how for the last, 5-6 years that she had known me, and she even had been on my team, on my staff, that all those years she really just couldn't stand me. And there she was on my last day, my day of celebration and of going away, kind of my going away party, in my office, just raking me through the coals. And guess what I did as an idiot, I must say? I said, oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate your input. Can I get you some coffee? Que bobo. Ay, que feo. Ay, AQF. Ay, que tonto. Like that hashtag. My goodness. I look back and I think, what was wrong with me? I should have said, you know what? You need to get the heck out of my office. Not only is this my day to rejoice in what God has done, plus these 500 people that are outside of this office can tell you differently than what you think, but you are a critic, not a creator. And you know what? Really, I knew it all along. And yet sometimes we let those people into our lives. Have you let a critic deep into your life? Ask yourself, why? Is it someone even in your family, a coworker, a friend? It could be even someone that you're dating if you're a young person. If you are in a relationship with a critic, with someone who is constantly cutting you down and hasn't really even liked you for the last 5 years, even though they're in your life, you need to cut them off in 2017. And then lastly, number 3 is you need to use your voice and go back to being an artist. Remember, at the end of the day, the whole Renaissance man thing came from Shakespeare. Because I looked it up, as I said, and all that era was the Shakespearean era. Now, who was Shakespeare? He was a writer, a playwright. He was a crazy man. He had some things that were way off, that were sexual, that were weird, that were anti-woman. I mean, he had all kinds of strange things. But yet from that man came some of the most amazing pieces of art. Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet and all these amazing things that Shakespeare created out of his Renaissance spirit from God. Maybe he wasn't a born-again Christian, but there was something beautiful in him. But guess what? All of that energy, he put it out there through his creativeness, through his art, through his writings, through his theater, through that stage that now even, if you go to Poly or to any high school or college or university, they're still using his techniques even to this day. But he put it out there. He used his his creative spirit and his skill set to build something great again. Here's my question to you. What do you need to create in 2017? You're like, but Trig, man, you don't know my life. I'm busy. I need to work out. I need to raise my kids. My dog is sick. I don't have enough money. My husband is unemployed, or he's gently employed. I'm dealing with some depression. I don't have insurance. You have all of these reasons. But here's my question to you. Why are you no longer creating? What are you waiting for to go back to being the Renaissance woman that you have always been and that God created you to be? What is the artistry that needs to reemerge from your life? What is that piece of content, whether it's media or whether it's writing, that needs to come out of you once again in 2017 for the sake, first, of you, the sake of the Spirit of God in you, and second, for the sake of others that are dying and thirsty and hungry and need your inspiration? Man, what is it for you? Back to Kanye. So I said, I listened to his interview. Hello, my dear friend Alan from my dear Colorado. Thank you for being here. My point, back to Kanye, I was watching this interview with him, and he said that he has all these projects coming up, that he has his world tour, something about cruel winter. He was talking about the story of Pablo or whatever, something about Pablo. I don't keep up with Kanye these days. And he was talking about his clothing line. He said that he filled MSG, Madison Square Garden, with 16,000 people just a few months ago, coming to see his clothing line. And he was saying that since he was in 4th grade, he remembers going to department stores and just admiring the clothes. He said that he worked at Kohl's. I laughed at that. He said that, and then Kim Kardashian, obviously, what is she into? Also into fashion. Isn't that amazing how even who you marry has to line up with that Renaissance spirit in you? Young person, don't just fall for whoever. Make sure that you are aligning your spirit and your uniqueness with someone else's uniqueness, and that person that you're dating aligns with what God has put in you and who God has made you to be. Don't just fall for the first person that says, oh, I love you, you look pretty, let's go watch Netflix and hang. Dude, forget that. If you are called to be a Renaissance man or woman, young person, child, and you know that that's been in you since you were in 4th grade or in 6th grade when you first worked at Kohl's and you saw that piece of clothing, or for me, when I first grabbed that guitar and I thought, Lord, what is this? Go back to that spirit of Renaissance. What is that story that you need to retell? What is that moment in history, in your childhood, in high school, that you need to revisit, that reminds you of the Renaissance spirit that is in you? It is needed more than ever in 2017. Again, as I said at the beginning, in Genesis 1, it says that the Spirit of God hovered over the earth, and the earth was chaotic. You're feeling afraid of the chaos in politics? Create. You're feeling concerned about the state of your family, and you don't know exactly if you can buy that house or you can stay in your current house, or the Obamacare is going to be repealed. You're concerned about your immigration status. Create. Are you worried that your church or your nonprofit is losing money, losing people, that everyone's leaving, that everyone's going to other places, and your church is no longer being as relevant as it once was? Create and be the Renaissance man and woman that God has created you to be. Remember who you are. Remember that spirit that is in you. Remember, like it says in the Bible, that God has not given you a spirit of fear, but one of power, of courage, of self-discipline. Remember who you are. Fan into flame, it says in the Bible, that gift that God has put in you through the laying on of my hands. So I want to pray for you today. If perhaps you're feeling, hello, my dear friend Hugo, welcome on this Thanksgiving week. Perhaps you are feeling that you need a blessing. Let me do that for you right now. I want to just pray for you. If you are feeling lost in the mix. You have blended in. You have settled for the least common denominator. And yet inside of you, there is still that spirit of adventure, of grace in the middle of crisis, and of love, what I call the ACL experience. There's still in you this thing of living la vida gozo, not walking on failure street, but living on gozo street, living la vida gozo, walking in the ways of GOZOlandia, living here in the gozo planet. If you have been called by God to be that man, to be that woman, I want to pray for you. And I want to pray for your critics, that you will shut them down, that God will take care of it. Let God take care of your critics. Love your enemies, but you need to cut them out of your life. So Lord, I pray for anyone here today that is needing, as Paul said, the laying on of hands. I pray, God, that if it's a young person or someone in their 20s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, Lord, as your word says, in the last days, young and old will see new dreams and dream new visions. God, I pray today that dream that you've put in many people that are watching me right now on Periscope, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, wherever they're watching me, that you will awaken that spirit of renaissance in them by your power. And then, Lord, I pray, second, that you would remove that critic, that noise, that doubt inside of their brains, that fear that tells them it's too late, you're too old, you're too young, you can't risk it all. I pray, God, against that spirit of antithesis, of antichrist, of whatever is taken away, that spirit of creativity, especially the critic. God, I pray that you would remove people, places, and situations from that person. And then last, Lord, I pray that you would give us all courage and a voice to create that blog, to start that podcast, to paint, to write that book, to start simply talking to people once again, to simply just lead in a different way in 2017. God, I pray for a spirit of renaissance to emerge once again in Jesus' name. Amen. Hello, Deborah. Welcome, my dear friend. So I just want to thank you. I don't have my music anymore. My iPad has literally fallen off the wagon. It's dead. But music or not, the music is in us. Living la vida gozo, living la vida loca together with you. I want to just invite you to share this video. This, I believe, is a moment in history that can revolutionize your life and can make your life great again, your school great again, your nonprofit great again. Stop living for failure. Stop giving in to fear and into hate and into the least of you and most of all into the status quo. Check your heart. Go back to church. Put Jesus first in your life. Remember that Renaissance spirit that was in Noah is in you, that was in Rahab is also in you. Rescue a child. Love the least of these. Rescue the poor. Stand for the immigrant and the orphan and the least and the elderly. And you will truly then live what we like to call here a life of gozo. Thank you for being here. Share this message out with everybody. Follow me on Snapchat at David Trig LA and Instagram as well. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great rest of this day. Have a great rest of this week. Don't eat so much turkey. Have a great rest of this month, and I will see you next time. Adios, everybody.